We are live.
Welcome everyone to Sako and the Moons. We haven't named this thing yet.
Movie reviews.
More or less is what we're doing. We don't have like a cool name for it yet.
We haven't. No.
It's fine. It's fine. You know what? We'll figure it out. We'll shop it. If anybody's watching this and we have a comment section, you can just leave your ideas for what you think we should call this thing that we do. I'm the Moon. This is Sako. This is Sako. We switched places.
Yeah.
And
we switched.
we're doing movie reviews now because we think movies are dope. And we're going to constantly talk about how the different elements of writing and horror go together. And I always make references to film. And so we figured, let's find them in examples of films. And we do that by doing these film reviews. Of course, I'm the Moon. This is weird because the name is different. So I feel like I should always go second. But I'm Dewan L. Hearn, more affectionately known as the Moon. And I'm once published. And like this thing says, I'm the doer of things. You know, I write stuff, I film stuff, and I talk to people. Yes, that's my new catchphrase. This is Sako. Say hi, Sako.
Hi, Sako.
I was hoping you were going to say hi, Sako.
Okay, so I'm going to be totally honest. I am sleep depping pretty hard right now. So my brain is kind of empty. I'm Sako Toomey, in case we haven't met. I write horror and I'm a witch and I'm a graphic designer and I do a lot of things. Wearing all the hats. I also want to say that tomorrow is the Moon's birthday.
We didn't have to mention this.
Yes, we did. Yes.
I don't know what day tomorrow technically is, but whenever this goes live, this is October the 21st. My birthday is October 22nd. Thank you, Sako. I love you too.
Would you like a birthday dirge?
You know, it's kind of your thing. So let's go ahead. Go for it.
Oh, okay. Death, destruction, and despair, people dying everywhere. Happy birthday, happy birthday. I love children, yes I do, baked or broiled in a stew. Happy birthday, happy birthday. May the candles on your cake burn like cities in your wake. Happy birthday, happy birthday. That was necessary.
That was nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was the most enjoyment we're going to get out of this episode.
I think so.
While she blames the sleep deprivation as to why her brain seems empty, my brain feels empty after having watched this movie. Mm-hmm. The movie we're reviewing today is The Mousetrap. As you know, there's movies like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey that were made after certain IPs have gone to the public domain. Steamboat Willie, very important, not Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Steamboat Willie has gone into the public domain, and as soon as that went in the public domain, the trailer for this movie came out, and it's one of those things that the moment you saw it, you knew some bullshit was on the plate in front of you. Mm-hmm. You knew it, and they weren't wrong. This is an objectively bad movie, but to be fair, this is why we have our rating system. We have a 4-star rating system where we break down different parts of this and we look at them objectively so that we can give you a fair review of this film. Because subjectively, this was some bullshit.
I don't know.
Heaping pile of bullshit.
Keeping there are two types of bad movies. There's the good bad. There's the good bad, and
That makes
there's
blue pop. Yes, blue, good, bad.
and then there's the bad bad. And this was a bad bad.
It's a very bad,
Absolutely.
bad. There are
Mhm.
some great bad movies out there. I talk about them all the time, and what one of my absolute favorite bad movies is Armageddon. It's I think it was a film contest, like a some sort of like film thing. The guy
Mm.
got like a grant for some money and then just bullshitted the whole fucking thing. It was horrible, but horrible in a very funny way. There were funny elements to Lamageddon, and maybe we'll do Lamageddon on this show at some point.
Oh, that'd be fun.
It's a fun movie. It's fun. Like it's the kind of horror movie you put in front of your friend, and they after it's over, they're like, "Why'd you do that to me? I thought we were cool. Like,
Like
why would
Black Sheep, like Yellowbeard, like
not like Yellow Brick Road? That's a
no
terrible movie.
Yellowbeard.
No,
Yellowbeard,
I'm talking about the movie Yellow Brick Road. That's a terrible movie.
that's a
That one
bad
really
bad.
it's a very bad bad. It's one of those that it's it literally hurts your head when you watch it. Like, you know how people like sarcastic, like, "Oh my god, that movie was so stupid, gave me a headache." This literally gives me a headache every time I've watched it. The only reason I watched it the second time was to see if it really was as bad as it was the first time, and it was. It was.
Oh.
I'm trying to find my copy of our scale so I can follow
Oh, we got four categories to
along.
signify the 4 stars. We've got production, we've got writing, we've got characterization, and we've got theme. And
Yes.
within each category, we have 3 points that kind of to get the conversation started.
How many
So,
could be much stronger than 7 Up for this movie?
you know what? I really should have grabbed a drink before.
You probably should. If you're watching this review, go ahead and hit pause for just a moment. Go ahead and no, come back, come back. Listen to me say this, then hit pause, and then go. Go get yourself a drink and a snack, maybe a smoke, whatever you do. I don't judge. And you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it. And just to show you how bad this movie is, I've sat through it 1.5 times.
1.5 times.
I was watching it just before we hit record, and we get to about the climax, but that's where shit goes really south for this movie.
Awry.
It was like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
So I've sat through it 1.5 times. Sako has not actually sat through it from bell to bell, from point to point. No,
I will fully admit that because I do not have access to Peacock, I
it's exclusive
watched
on Peacock.
yeah, I watched 2 recaps back to back and then watched the kill count.
The Kill Count by James A. Janice on the Dead Meat channel. We're going to talk about it once I talk about it. Shout
Yes.
out to James A. Janice. If you ever happen to catch this show, well, we would love to do the Dead Meat podcast. We're nobody important, but we do it
We're
anyway.
nobody important, but that would be super rad.
That would be dope. But like the benefit to having not actually seen the movie but watching these commentaries is that she gets to see the highlights of the movie, and industry
And the
people are,
low lights in some of these
well, generally
recaps.
speaking, you don't get all the little bitty nuancy stuff that's time filler, and she gets to hear commentary notes. Certain parts get explained that may have otherwise not been explained, and so she gets a deeper insight that I may not have. I just bore
Why?
through this movie because, oh dear God, listen, I watched it because it was on, and I'm like, okay, I have to see this movie at some point when it comes on. And when it did, I immediately reached out to Sako and I was like, oh Lord, this is
He's
bad.
like, "I don't have words." I
I did for like 5 whole solid entire American minutes. I had no words.
it was longer than 5 minutes, that's for sure. Like,
It
you
felt like it
you
felt like
stammered for a hot minute.
oh. And listen, like subjectively, this movie I consider it as bad as it is because there are general standards in what qualifies as an entertaining movie. Even if you're not going to have the production value, even if you're not going to have the budget for this and that, which apparently they actually did have a pretty decent budget for what we got.
Yeah.
Uh,
$800,000, was it?
something it felt like
No,
that's
no, yeah, $800,000 budget. But where
and
did the
we
money like
I don't know. Um, and that's one of the subjective issues I have with this movie. Is I don't know what they did with the money. Some people, most of what I've heard was a lot of the budget went towards the renting of the location of Fun Haven, which is a real place. You can literally go, I think, somewhere in Canada or something. You can go there and play there. It's a real place. And they rented it out, and I think that's where a good chunk of the budget went. But there is just so much
uh,
that is not entertaining about this movie. And I don't care what you're doing, to some degree, your story has to make sense. We are two independent writers, and one of our number one things is regardless of what our story includes, it has to make sense.
it has to make sense, and
At the very, very least, it can be the most convoluted story, but make your convoluted story make sense.
please.
And this movie did not. Um,
Okay, let's
let's just
start
go
with the
right in.
production.
Let's just go
Let's
into it.
let's go into it. So it was directed, shot, and edited by Jamie Bailey, written by Simon Phillips. The actors are a blur of nameless faces and similar haircuts.
I actually didn't recognize some of them between each other while watching it the first time. I lost
Mhm.
track of. I'm like, who's Danny? Which one's
Which
Danny?
one's Danny?
And I'll tell you, I was writing notes, like
There's a
literally writing
there's a
notes.
blonde who actually has no name.
I literally wrote those two as blonde number one and blonde number two. They are in my notes as blonde one and blonde two. I think one of them was given a name once. Um,
Mhm. One of them
yeah.
was,
In my
but
notes,
the
the characters
other
are Jackie, Paul, Ryan, Danny, Marcus, Becca, Alex, of course, Jaina, the owner, Tim, and then blonde number one and blonde number
yeah. Yeah.
two. Okay, I'm not going to hold that against them because maybe she didn't need a name.
Okay,
Either of them.
so
But even
pr
later on, they referred to her as, which girl? It's like the one that didn't make it. I'm like, okay, we could have given them a name. Then it's fine. I
yeah,
digress. I
yeah.
digress.
Okay, so art direction. Opening credits are actually kind of rad. Kudos
The
to the
opening credits was
score.
funny. Uh, it's a Star Wars crawl, right?
That was okay, so that was a minute and a half of Star Wars scrolling, talking about the copyright issue and whatnot.
it was a disclaimer. It was smart. They made sure they added the disclaimer because like, hey, this is not affiliated with Disney or any of its subsidiaries. This is based on the public domain property. Full disclosure, full disclaimer in the scroll. Star Wars, and like even this crawl is just a nondescript scroll. It's this is not based on anything of any properties or subsidiary of Disney. It's just a scroll. Don't mind this. This is not a trademark violation. It's just a scroll. It's fine. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
A minute and a half.
It was long. And it's probably the best minute and a half of this entire movie. Now,
No,
after
I think the black with the Steamboat Willie and the music and the
so like immediately after this is the opening credits. This part was done really, really well. That part was funny. It was I feel like it was like legally necessary. It was entertaining because you're like, okay, we get it. We get it because we know that Steamboat Willie is not Mickey Mouse, but very close. We know that this crawl is Star Wars esque. So we know they're like, okay, we don't want to get sued by Disney, so let's just do this thing as a disclaimer and write it out. Now, if you think this is an example of how funny this movie is about to be, you are wrong. You are so wrong. The level of wrong that you're being misled, and that's unfortunate.
So I was wondering if the money went to Tim's little movie den, because how many lightsabers are in the room lighting it red?
So there's a room. This only features once. There's a little room that's like a personal theater, which is weird because it's kind of like Tim's personal theater room at the Fun Haven. So I don't know. Now this is a fair question. Is this a theater room set that they built and then dressed the way they wanted to, or is this an actual room that's just in Fun Haven? And they're like, oh, this would be pretty cool. We can do this with this room. Sometimes, as a filmmaker, you're like, well, I need a room that does A, B, and C, so you build it. Other times, you go to a viable set and you're like, well, um, well, this has a thing here. Let's use it. A great example of this is in Halloween Ends. In the opening segment of Halloween Ends, where you have the Corey Cunningham story taking place, and we go back to 1 year after Halloween Kills, and so we are 3 years prior to the story of Halloween Ends. Their location, the house that they got, had this dope ass spiral staircase, right? So they rewrote this scene, that the babysitting scene, to fit the location because they wanted to utilize the scene because they could do the drop down with the body and the shots. They're like, well, we can utilize this set, and so they rewrote the scene for it. So to answer or I guess to to question your question, is this a scene they built, or is this a set that was just already there? I hope it was already there, because to have this in your fun house, your fun haven place, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The theater only sits comfortably 6, 8, maybe. So if you had like a very, very small party to watch a movie, I guess you could rent a space like that out. Wouldn't be the worst if I had like a small clique with me. If I want to do like a small film review kind of thing, but I wouldn't go to a fun haven place to do that. Well, I'm really confused on the usage, but it's the best dressed set that they have in this entire
Yeah. It's a nerd haven, like
but not even a good nerd haven.
right.
Because it's like you have 2 things in it, 3 things in it. You have the Mickey Mouse mask. There's another mask on the bottom, which I don't remember. And then there's like this Steamboat Willie book, or maybe that's what the film reel is in. I can't remember.
Right, but there's like 7 lightsabers lighting the room.
And then they could just be light sticks, but they're probably lightsabers because
No, no, I know the make. They are not Star Wars. They are just light swords.
They are light swords, which is good because we don't say lightsabers because we say light swords Because
I got them for my wedding. I had lightsaber things
yeah, like
instead of
laser
lightsaber
swords.
laser
Because
swords.
the movie I'm writing right now, there's a scene where we need to buy laser swords.
Ah, I think I can send you links.
That's cool.
I just unsubscribed from them. Funny
I,
enough.
it's fine. They're not watching. They don't care. It's fine. But yeah, so looking at the makeup, art direction, and
Oh,
cinematography.
wait. They try to Chekhov's gun the knife for the birthday cake, and they fail.
How so?
They focus on the knife, and then they do nothing with it.
Well, they focus on the knife. The knife disappears, and that's the knife that Willie is using throughout
Is
the.
it? Is it though?
Listen, this is in this movie. I can't give them a lot of points, but imagine if first and foremost, no one uses a butcher knife like that to cut a cake. I wouldn't. Maybe some people would. Maybe some people do.
A
I'll
chef's knife? Yeah.
yeah. That's like an overkill knife. Some houses, I'm a culinary school dropout. Maybe I just have more knives in my house than the average person because I'm a culinary school dropout. Now, 'cause I'm a horror writer, don't call the cops. My family's alive and they're fine. They'll look under the house anyway. Maybe I have more knives than normal, but maybe the average, maybe someone just has that one knife and never use it. Okay, it is the knife that Mickey. It's supposed to be the knife that Mickey is using. Willie is using.
Willie.
Uh, Willie is using.
Mm.
Um, because she even goes, "Hey, what did you all do with the knife?" And that's when the person knows the knife is missing. And then Willie has a knife that's quite similar to use throughout the year.
I did not make the connection.
That's how bad this movie is.
Uh, as far as makeup and props, um, they had a goatee sticking out of a mangled mask and a hockey jersey. A
Which is
nameless hockey jersey.
so it's the hockey jersey of the hockey team that character Ryan and then the four dudes from the bar are a part of. And Tim used to be their captain back in the 90s, as one of the guys in the bar will later tell us. But there are no school insignias. I would only make the assumption that the school colors were black and red, but there's not even numbers on the jerseys.
No.
Like the
No
jerseys don't even.
names, no.
They could have at least put character names and numbers on. Like a
Uh,
cricket's not expensive, people. You can
I
get a
think
cricket. You can get a friend with a cricket, and just like, can I take these 5 jerseys and put numbers on them? Because these are guys who are actively on the team who don't have numbers.
we don't have numbers. Yeah.
Come on, you can put numbers on it. We have a football jersey in the movie we're working on, and even we're going to put a number on it.
Did everyone dress themselves at home?
I do feel like someone's like, "Hey, what would you wear if you were going to a party like this?"
Also, why was there a goth girl?
Because she had a crush on Alex, and she has to look suspicious.
Okay.
I got. So here's what's weird, and this is why it sticks out to Sako, because she is a very goth chick, like she is 90s gothed out. I don't know what kids call it nowadays, but she's very, very gothic. the black, the black on black on black, the black nails, black paint, black fingernail polish, very, very pale, almost white, like white purple kind of makeup. She's pale head to toe, fishnets, I think, tall platform boots, super gothed out. And nobody else even comes close to that aesthetic. It's kind of like this girl would never actually hang out with these kids, and these kids would never actually hang out with this girl.
Right.
Now, we're in a new age, a new era where maybe kids are less judgmental. Let's hope.
In the 90s, where she's pulling from?
Right. But this movie does not take place in the 90s. The movie takes place in present day. So maybe those kids in present day are more accepting of people who are different.
Maybe.
However, comma, it's a weird clashing of aesthetics. Like, I feel like we could have toned down her goth and toned down the prep of everybody else to some just general time frame mainstreams. Because her being goth doesn't add or subtract overall from her character.
No.
There's a couple of scenes where blonde girls 1 and 2 say, "Can you just try to not hate the world?" or something. Like they make a comment like that, which could have just not been part of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
so cinematography. Useless jail scenes. Why she kept in a dungeon.
I will save my comments for that when we get to writing.
Writing? Okay.
Because I feel because there's a point, there's a thing I want to note for that in writing. But as far as the cinematography, looked like they had a decent camera. The shots made sense. The color grading was inconsistent, in my view. Also, the lighting was terrible in this place. Now, it's obviously a dimly lit game place, like a Chuck E. Cheese kind of place. But I just feel like in some spots the lighting is just inconsistent.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an inconsistency with the lighting on set or if it has to do with the color grading. In the end,
Also,
or
and
conflict.
daylight, if there was daylight involved, like maybe it was waning and you know,
There are some
waxing.
shots. There are some shots inside the building by light. You could tell there were light sources nearby that were worse than the scenes that took place outside. Like when Jenna is coming back to Funhaven and she's walking out, like that scene looks great. Like the lighting there looks fantastic. Otherwise, it's just weird.
Shrug.
It's weird.
Teleporting?
Writing. Well, I'll get to that in the writing. Oh, I have this because I feel like these are all story elements, and they're clunky on screen. Like the teleporting thing is clunky on screen. It's jumpy. It's that thing where it's like, all right, everyone, and pause. All right, everyone, like you move and action, and you hit unpause, and then you just carry on. My buddy, shout out to Ben Spivak. He had a project to do in 4th grade about Star Trek. No shock. And he did the same teleportation trick in 4th grade with an actual VHS camcorder. He recorded himself, and it was that thing where it's just like he's standing there, and then someone hit pause, and then he leaves the set. They hit unpause, and he's suddenly not there. That's what happens. It looks cheap. It looks like no.
It does.
There's
I
no-
was wondering,
No.
okay, so because of the goatee peeking out of the mask, my assumption is that it is Tim the manager.
It is the only person that it can be, and spoiler, it's never concluded who it has. There really now. Granted, you can state that there could only have been one killer.
Mhm,
The story does set it up where there could only be. It's obviously Tim,
mhm.
but I do feel like there's a point where you have to specify it's Tim because we, the viewer, know it's Tim, but no one else knows that it's Tim. Like there's no
So,
killer reveal to the
there's
cast.
even a scene, in the beginning, back to Tim's little hovel, um, a flashing light in Tim's den. Is that their attempt at foreshadowing?
Um, I hadn't considered that. I think it came from the projector because he's watching that
It
movie on the projector.
did. It
But
did.
I guess it kind of. I guess it.
Maybe that's the connection of the flashing lights?
I here's here's where my problem with that is. My problem with that is this would be the scene where Tim acquires the powers, right?
Mhm,
Where he hears Willie's voice from the mask.
mhm.
The mask is talking to him, drawing him in. And if the flashing lights from the projector are what's causing this, it shouldn't be thus his weakness.
Right.
It should be like the source of his power.
Mhm.
Like strobing light should give him strength, or lights should strobe when he vanishes, or something,
Yeah.
something. But I mean, fuck it. With this movie, shit, you're probably right.
Where is the fun house versus the bar?
Okay, the area
Is it
doesn't seem to reflect this, but according to the guys in the bar, it's right next door.
but they keep panning out, um, the happy place, happy fun time place, and it
Fun Haven.
did not show a bar.
The bar is called Saints and Sinners, and um, I didn't look for it in the wide shots. It could have been there,
I
but it's
was
also
looking for it and never found it. Uh,
I, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's
yeah.
it's it's all we know is according to one of the four guys at the bar, and we'll get to the guys in the bar in a moment.
Mhm.
The four guys in the bar, it's like, oh, Fun Haven, it's right next door. Let's just go. Let's just go.
It I approved
If
of your comment.
if she scratches her arm, her hand does this, and it triggers the little Apple thumbs up thing for her. I'm not using an Apple device. I'm just clearly the son. So
Yeah. Such is life.
such is life.
Okay, so writing. Let's talk about dialogue. Um, S Scream hasn't gone into the public domain yet, so
No, but
the
Scream is
phone
constantly.
gag, the "Don't say you'll be right back," like
So you can. So here's the thing about Scream. Like Scream in the public domain means you can't make a movie with Ghostface or a Sidney Prescott without having the rights.
but
Um,
the lines?
some of the lines are just now part of nomenclature at this point, so I can let that go. However, comma, The real problem is that there are so many references to Scream. I feel like it's either lazy writing from the screenwriter or
Who was
it's
simultaneous?
tying into your character who's a huge fan of 90s horror. But you realize that this isn't just in dialogue, this is in movie structure at the same time. So it's probably not character, it's probably the screenwriter. I think I've said something to that effect before. If it happens in one isolated space with one, like this has to do with dialogue, which we're talking about. If a character says something kind of cliche, it's the character. If all the characters say that same cliche thing, it's the screenwriter. And we all, as a screenwriter, I can tell you that is a thing that I myself am guilty of. I've made my characters too similar because they all start talking like me. And I feel like this is something that was done for the most part throughout this movie. I think this movie attempted to be meta because meta's cool, because Scream is cool. Scream can do it. Nobody else should.
Yeah.
I think Scream is a franchise that is built on being a reflection of horror at the time. That's the
Yes.
point of the franchise at this point.
Yeah.
Outside of that, now anyone outside of Scream doing it is just now imitating Scream. And I think
Agreed.
now,
Another
it does get rough. It
Yeah.
does get rough because you have those lines like when
I never got to ask her out, he just cut her head off.
Oh, that's that. Ugh, I wasn't even going there. That, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the last lines that you hear in this. There's the ending credits, and then there's the post-credit scene, and that is the last line of the regular movie. And so some of this shit that's said is nothing that anyone with a hint of common sense would actually say in these moments. I feel like they wanted to do so much with the story, and it's like, hey, I think some of our friends are missing, and we might have a killer on the loose, or something weird. Do you want your birthday gift now? Sure. This was the whole thing, and our friends are missing. It's fine.
It's
Like
fine.
at this point, it's like, okay, I've seen a weird guy in a mask already tonight. Then you guys showed up, and then our friends have gone missing. The doors are all chain closed. Yeah, I have time for a birthday gift. Let's go. It's done.
Yeah, this kind of like leads into the plot, right? So, I make a comment, did something happen? Did I miss it? No? Some kids die? Somehow the deaths aren't believable. Oh, an on-screen kill! One on-screen kill.
2, 3 total. Hold on. 4.
No, like an actual kill. Like not the hockey.
No, not them. No. So you have blonde girl number 2.
Right. Which is it.
She gets her throat slit.
Right.
Danny gets stabbed in the head. That one we see. Jaina gets stabbed in the back and then stabbed in the front in the doorway.
Okay.
And then she falls, and they do that crying scene. And he literally looks at her like, where? and then Alex and her head gets chopped off. That counts as on-screen.
Yeah.
So there are 4 on-screen kills, And I'll tell you this. It took me until watching it this morning, like early, right before we did this. Like it's still paused in my other browser. It took then for me to realize that there were actually on-screen kills.
Yeah.
That's how insignificant these on-screen kills were. The fact that you didn't think that 3 of them happened, and I have to be like, wait a minute, I just
Wait a
rewatched
minute.
it. They actually did.
Mhm.
That shows you how insignificant these kills were. Because in the course of this, you know, I'm gonna pause for just a second. We're gonna talk about these kills and we'll come back. Here's the overall plot of the movie. There's a girl named Alex. She works at Fun Haven with Jaina, and her and Jaina work at this place for a guy named Tim. Tim, they have a party there. They're going to close in 15 minutes, but he gets a last second phone call to say, hey, we have a last minute party booked. We're going to close in 15 minutes, but fuck it. I'll pay you overtime. Just stick around for this party. Get the money. I want to make you clean at the slushy machine. Dialogue ensues. Nothing's important. Jaina leaves because she's a teenage girl. She's kind of pretty, and some guy wants her attention. And that leaves Alex by herself, which is fine because it turns out the party that was booked was her friends who booked this space for her surprise birthday party. Her actual birthday is not for 2 weeks. This is important. I want you to note this. Her birthday is incoming, but it's not for 2 weeks. Hold that thought. They bring cake, they bring gifts, they've set up, they've done some things, they've snuck in at some point. How the fuck they did that, I don't know. I don't know. How they managed to get in if Tim is in killer mode, Jaina is gone, and Alex wasn't there for it. Who opened the fucking door? I don't know. Maybe they just never closed the door and locked the
That's my
door,
thought.
but
I
then
don't
like
think they ever
nobody's
locked the door.
watching the front door. Like nobody's watching the front door. Like, and it's not that like because she wasn't gone all that long. She walks away, sees the weird mouse dude and comes back. She's kind of playing games, waiting for everybody. But they snuck in and set shit up with like the cake and the table and shit. And then homeboy like hooked up the sour candy gift on the table off to the side. All of this was set up. All of these things were brought in at once. I mean, there was 8 of them, or 7 of them. That I mean, that maybe I don't fucking know how many there were. 8 of them. There's 8 of them. They could have brought it all in one fell swoop and dropped it all in place. Her knowing it, and I don't know.
I don't know.
So it's supposed to be a surprise party. She's turning 21. You know she's turning 21 because she talks about wanting her first real drink, her first real legal drink. At some point, they're going to go try to leave to go to a bar so she can get her first legal drink. It's not actually her birthday. Her birthday, you just told us, is in 2 weeks. She's still 20. For the next 14 days, for the next fortnight, she is still 20 years old. She is not getting her first legal drink. This whole plot line hinges on the idea of them leaving to go to a real bar. This is what leads them to the door. This is when they find that the door is chained, and that's when they realize that they're trapped. She's still fucking 20. This whole thing never.
Yeah, first draft went to film. Yeah, it shows.
It shows. So that's when, at some point in time, Tim's in this room with the Steamboat Willie stuff. The mask is talking to him. We don't see him don the mask, but there's nobody else. My question then becomes, when did he don the hockey outfit? He's wearing the work uniform, right? At first, he's wearing his work uniform because him, Jaina, Alex, all wearing the same uniform. It's his
Mhm.
place. When does he change into his hockey outfit?
Mm.
I digress. So then he's wearing the mask, and now he's playing this game of cat and mouse because, of course, he is. He's not immediately trying to kill them. Sometimes, but then he goes off to try to kill them. Sometimes, otherwise, he's just fucking with him. He's just picking on him and whatnot. Like blonde girl number 2 is doing the VR thing, and he could kill her while she's not even looking. She's completely oblivious to the world around her. He could have slit her throat and called it a day, and then just had a kill while she was just laying there. And then you can have like the VR avatar being eaten by the dragon, which were dope graphics, by the way. The video game actually looks pretty cool.
The video game is the best graphics in the movie.
Best graphics. The best part of this entire movie visually is the video game, the VR video game, the blonde girl number 2 is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. Like that's the plot. Like they're trying to get out of this building. They can't get out. They don't know who the killer is. They think the killer is first Paul, then they think it's Paul and Jackie, then they think it's Danny, then they think it's Ryan, and they have no clue who it is until someone either ends up dead or they realize that homeboy is too stupid to pull it off.
Or something. Let's see what else.
All of this is told. Hold on, wait. All of this is told with a framing device.
Yeah.
Of an interrogation. So the movie starts with the
Fucking
police
Princess Bride that shit.
So you have good cop, bad cop, and they're questioning someone in a jail cell in the basement because some walls look like they're made of brick and some look like they're made of cobblestone. Like they're in the, this is why she said they look like they're in a dungeon. They look like they're in a dungeon because she kind of looked like she was in a dungeon. She was in the basement of wherever the fuck they were. And this framing device, right? It takes place after the events, and she's the a survivor, and not the only survivor, but a survivor, the one that's talking, and they're trying to figure out how are you the one that didn't have any kind of scarring coming out of this, and she then tells the story of what happens, and that's what we're watching. Even though the whole first part of the movie takes place when she's not even there. Like she tells the part where it's her, Jaina, and Tim, she's telling this part of the story despite she wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
There are parts of the movie that are being told from when she wasn't there. They're like, and then they stop and they're like, wait a minute, how do you know that if you weren't there? And she's like, so and so told me, or I saw it from the cameras in the other room, or all these invented reasons could have all been avoided if you had just not done it.
Indeed.
Like the story is there, but it's janky, and it hinges on the struggle, like the struggle to put two ideas together and make them make sense. Oh, side note, we never even gave it we never.
Oh, we never gave it a star or not for production. No.
Right.
No.
I cannot in good conscience. This look, I told you, this movie has taken all the thoughts out of our heads. Like that's why we're doing this, and that's why this is so janky. For art direction, makeup, and props, I can't give it credit for any of this. It didn't do any of it right.
No.
It didn't do any of it to my liking. It's like no star in the front. You agree with that?
I agree with that.
So talk about dialogue, plot, and I'll talk about pacing since you didn't actually see the movie. It's odd.
There are parts of it that I can mention, but
my view on the pacing was that it didn't pace well.
Because, no, again, it didn't. Detail shots were too long, too many montages. Ending was confusing.
It's like too much light or not enough light. It's like which one do I want? So You could have done this. What you could have? Okay, here's how you could have done this. If everything happened with the party prior to Alex seeing Steamboat Willie, so she doesn't see Steamboat Willie. Everyone leaves. She thinks Tim is gone. She thinks Jane is gone. She starts playing around, waiting for this party to show up. She leaves the room for one reason or another, comes back, the party's set up. That would have been fine. And if you do all of these games and the weird teen interaction thing that they do in the first section of this, along with the birthday gift stuff with the sour candy, do all of this stuff before people start getting, you start noticing people being missing.
Mhm.
Now you don't. Now you're like having all the fun stuff. You're doing exposition. You're establishing the characters. You're setting up all the places and all the people and all the ducks in the row. Then you introduce, and you can even interlace that with like the Paul Jackie going off to fool around. You can even have that happen when it happens. Have that kill take place so you don't have too much time without a kill, and then have no one notice because they're off doing their thing. And so because they're all fooling around, no one bothers to look for them. Everyone just assumes that because they're gone, they're fooling around and no one bothers to think about them until they're eventually found dead. So you can have that kill on screen so we see it as the audience, but they're none the wiser. They have
Mhm.
all the other fun stuff, have another kill happen in front of someone, have the panic survivor come out and say, there's a giant Mickey Mouse looking dude trying to kill everybody. And then you have the drama ensue. You could have done that, and I think it would have been paced a whole lot better than what we've got. So we've got heightened danger, and then it's like no one gives a fuck. And then heightened danger, and people seem to not really care. And then people care a little bit, then they care a lot, and they might care here. And then it's like, what is even happening anymore? This does not pace to me at all. Your thoughts?
Detail shots too long, too many montages, like, early in the movie. The ending is confusing.
The ending
He
is always
he backs off for some reason. I know she gave him an ultimatum, but it didn't pan out for me.
they trap him.
Sirens for fire trucks and where the cops when he supposedly frees Alex and or not Alex, but frees Rebecca and asks her to help him, and she accepts?
So at the end, they realize that the strobing lights are his weakness.
Yeah, but does it work or not? Like, what is
So,
this lore? I
so they,
don't
so they have them in this room. They have strobing lights on them, and then
It prevents
the
him
strobe,
from
the strobe
teleporting.
from disappearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because he fucking teleports. That's give me a sec. He fucking teleports. So the strobing setup that they have stops. Like it only lasts for like a minute or so. Then it stops, and when it stops, he disappears. And Alex is like, "Well, he's gone, and he's not coming back." We cut scene, and then the interrogation. The guys are like, "All right, we're done here," and then they leave. We go back to the scene, and she's like, she says it again. How you know he's coming back? Because he says it again for no reason. Well, he's not coming back. Then he teleports, cuts her head off, teleports again, and it's gone. And this is when Marcus, the guy who likes her, the guy who's in love with her, the guy she's actually in love with, the one she wants to be with, says that line that Sako mentioned earlier, where it's like,
I
what was the
never
line?
got to ask her out, and he just cut her head off.
The fuck is that? And then it's in a post-credit scene, which I honestly didn't realize had happened because I stopped watching it
Oh,
as
there's
soon
a
as the credits
post-credit
happened.
scene?
That the part where, okay, so I'll tell you, Like I didn't notice it was a post-credit scene because I stopped right then. Like once it was over, the credits started rolling, I stopped. It wasn't until I saw the kill count on Dead Meat where they mentioned a post-credit scene. I was like,
Uh-huh.
so then I went back, watched it, and that's where because the police were like, "Well, we're done here," and they leave. And at some point in time, Steamboat Willie guy shows up at the police department. You see his Mickey Mouse
Outline, his silhouette.
silhouette,
Yeah,
and then he opens the door, the jail door somehow, where
somehow.
Rebecca is like, "You want to play with me or play a game or something? We can have lots of fun." And she's just like, "Okay." The
And
fuck,
then
bitch?
gives a little grin
A little gothy girl grin, and then the movie's actually over.
yeah.
The fuck is this? Like, what is
The
happening?
fuck
Who,
is
like,
this?
is the power in the mask? Because here's the question: how the fuck does Tim teleport? Tim's
Does the
just a
strobing
dude.
light give him supernatural powers?
It takes his powers away. Look at that magic film projector. Where'd the mask come from? You know what?
Did the mask make him
Been
crazy?
some magic in that
Like,
old hat they found. I don't know. Like it makes more sense that Frosty the Snowman like comes to life every year in that cartoon. It makes more sense for Frosty the Snowman to come to life than for Steamboat Willie to suddenly possess a mask and give this guy teleportation powers. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's going to happen.
uh-oh.
There's going to be a sequel. Here's what happened. Here's where I'm getting this example from. Terrifier.
Oh.
Terrifier 1, right, was just a meet Art the Clown. He's fucked up. He'll do fucked up shit.
Mm-hmm.
Do not go into watching Terrifier if you don't know what you're in for. If Saw is too much for you, if Hostel was too much for you, Terrifier's way too much for you. If you thought Hostel was okay, I can handle Hostel, but nothing beyond Hostel, stay away from Terrifier.
I am told that the third movie crosses a line for a lot of people.
I've heard there is so this is not about Terrifier, but there is at least a scene where the guy who plays Art the Clown almost threw up on scene because it was so gross.
Oh.
Art the Clown almost got sick being Art the Clown. That's how fucked up I heard 3 is. And I heard that clip from the actor who plays Art the Clown. There was an interview that he did. I watched the interview. I watched him give the interview, talk about that scene. But I'm saying, I mentioned Terrifier for this reason. Terrifier 1 has a very simple plot. There's no background on Art the Clown. There's no, it's just basically he meets these 2 girls. He fancies them. He follows them. He stalks them. He kills them. And other people come into play somehow, some way. People die very grossly. The chainsaw, we're not talking about it. I'm not going to mention anymore. Terrifier 2 introduces a little bit more of a backstory. Now there's a history to Art the Clown. Now there's a little bit more of a substance. Terrifier 3 is a sequel to Terrifier 2, and it continues the storyline that started in Terrifier 2 that was not present in Terrifier. Excuse me. All of that was to say, the Mousetrap. Here's what I worry. I worry that there's no story in Mousetrap until they make a Mousetrap 2. And that's when we'll start establishing a backstory. They did the same thing for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey had a simple story. It's like we all know the story of Winnie the Pooh, but they had to include how this Winnie the Pooh become a killer. Why is he mad? Now there's a full backstory when you watch Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. There's a whole backstory. There's a how did Winnie the Pooh become this kind of a person? What happened? There's another story leading into that. There's a whole new backstory in a part 2 when you just have a fun part 1.
Right.
Mousetrap counts as a fun part 1. Like Blood and Honey was a fun part 1. Like Terrifier was a fun part 1. And now you have this ground where it's like, okay, well, now we've done this. Let's establish a backstory. Who is the voice in the mask, right? Where do the powers come from? Why teleportation? Why did he choose to take over this person and kill these people? Was it just opportunity? I can let that one go. The mask just happened to be there. These people just happen to be there. I can rock with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's where we're headed. And because maybe they were planning on putting actual story and plot in part 2, there was almost absolutely none in part 1. Zero. Which is how many stars I'm giving it for this section.
I am also giving it for writing, yeah, fat lot of nothing. I'm gonna note that we have reached the hour mark and we're only halfway through our dissertation.
We can actually knock these last 2 out pretty quickly. I think so. I say we
Really?
can knock
You
it out.
think so? Because, okay.
If you have a lot of notes, then maybe not. But I think we can get through these.
I think we got through the lion's share already.
So looking at 3 for characterization, we have a no-name cast. So there's nothing.
So Simon Phillips, who wrote the script, played Tim.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure the character just went crazy and started killing the kids he convinced to stay after work. Blonde makes it through the movie without a name.
Blonde Girls 1 and Blonde Girls 2.
Yeah.
Blonde Girl 1 is the one that survives.
Yeah.
So Becca survives, Ryan survives, Marcus survives, Blonde Girl 1.
Consistency and evolution. Alex, weird evolution. Tim, again, weird evolution. Nerd turns douchebag. The blonde survives most of the movie somehow, but no development whatsoever.
She's literally, she doesn't even develop a name. Marcus, with that line at the end, completely kills his character art. It's non-existent.
Yeah.
He becomes the asshat he's been trying to fight the entire night.
Yeah.
And Ryan doesn't develop at all.
Nope. POV, isn't Rebecca the narrator? Where the hell is she? I didn't see her throughout most of the movie.
And that was half the problem. And they used the framing device to highlight that. Again, not something you should actually highlight. This movie creates its own problems. It creates its own problems. By having this framing narrative with the police department, in the investigation, you create perspective that you can't not have. We've already mentioned it. The point of view, the narrator is Rebecca. Rebecca is telling the story of what happened. She's not there prior to the kids arriving. So all the things that happened leading up to that point, she could not have known. Easy fix. Have a scene where she's sitting there talking with Alex. She already admits to having a crush on her. So there should have been some scene where they're at least really friendly. And that could be where we see her tell Becca the events that happened beforehand. Even if it was just like in a short little, I thought you guys were going to make a group of like loud kids, and Tim talked us into staying. But, well, then where's Jaina? She was supposed to stay too. Like, oh, well, she went to go meet a friend. So I don't know. She's supposed to be back later. In 10 seconds, I just fixed half the problems of the fucking movie.
Yeah.
That's how easy it was to do. And it wasn't done. The point of view doesn't work because you have a framing device that creates a point of view that cannot be utilized for this movie. So again, the cast, young people who don't have a much of a body of work. I don't know who they are, so cool. Um, the the characters are generally consistent, but they're also non-existent, and that's
Mhm.
the only way they get consistency is by not having characters in the first place to change. Those who do don't.
Yeah.
Ryan develop, blonde girl number one doesn't develop, everyone else dies, and Marcus becomes kind of an asshat.
Yep.
So
So
there you go.
characterization 0?
Zero.
Blah.
And the theme.
And the
What
theme. What's the message? Trust no one, be nice to your manager, hope that your killer is epileptic.
it's like it's like a bad parody of it's a bad parody of Scary Movie, which is already a good parody of Scream. And it does try to lean into some 90s horror tropes. There is that weird underlining love story that doesn't really have a place, but it's teens, so whatever. Um, but again, a lot of the story just doesn't make sense.
Uh,
Again, like they're trying to leave to go to a bar so that Alex can have her first real legal drink. Her
which
birthday is
isn't
not for
real.
2 weeks. All of these things were mentioned. Again, there are lines that are added that are spoken in this movie, which
That
all you had to do was just not
not
say them.
say it. It could have used another pass. Again,
My
they
birthday
published
isn't until
their
tomorrow.
zero draft, and
Don't
it
say 2
shows.
weeks. Say my birthday's not till tomorrow.
Yeah,
My birthday's not till tomorrow. I was like, well, we got till midnight.
or
Cool.
something.
Then as soon as the clock hits midnight, well, now we can go to the bar and get you your first real drink. Boom. Completely just solve that problem. You see what happens when you give your script more than 4 seconds worth of thought? I'm not the world's greatest screenwriter. I'm not the best screenwriter I know. I'm not even close to, I'm like 10th. But screenwriters that I personally know, I'm probably like 10th out of 8 people. And I can still tell you gotta fix this script. It's
Yeah.
not good. I'd love to actually
Mm.
sit down with the actual script and read it. Oh boy. I'd love
Oh boy.
oh boy. But yeah, no,
T
there is no message. There is no tone. And there was no backstory.
the tone is red lights all over the place, flashing lights. Watch out, epileptics. Uh, empty, dark arcade, but the games are still going. No aesthetic to speak of.
And there are parts of the movie where she seems so surprised. Alex seems surprised about games that are in the place where she works. Like when she
Right.
goes, "Oh look, we have Connect Four." Bitch, you work there. You just cleaned that machine an hour and a half ago. Didn't you just fill the tickets? Didn't you pull out the tokens? Haven't you seen this game before?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
All right. Backstory. I guess the whole movie is a flashback, but how does she Princess Bride this ship for scenes she wasn't present for? What point does the framing device serve? I think we have already determined that
It goes
that
to
is a
ruin.
lie, and
Goes to ruin the movie.
yeah, yeah.
I love a good framing device. There's a wonderful
So
book. There's a wonderful book called The Butterfly Garden, and it has a framing device. It does exactly what this movie does. It has a police framing device where they are interviewing and interrogating one of the survivors after an event happens. And then there's a backstory where you hear in a second POV vision part of the book where it goes back and tells you about the event that happens. And it comes back and forth. In fact, it's written in two different POVs. One's in third, one's in first. and it's done masterfully. A wonderful book by Dot Hutchison, Butterfly Garden. Feel free to read it. I think it's dope. I recommend it at all the times. It works there. It does not work here. Again, when in the Butterfly Garden, we already established, like, okay, it's the framing device is in third person, so you're hearing all the points of view. The backstory is in first person, from the viewpoint of the girl being interrogated. It's what she's experienced. It's what she learned. Everything that happened prior to her arrival is told to her, and we hear that. That's how she's aware of it to be able to tell the police about it. It's all explained away.
It's
There are
all explained away.
examples of this being done properly, where this framing device can work, which is why it's used, because it does work in some places. It did not work here.
Mm-mm.
Even when they try to highlight those points to show you, like, hey, that shouldn't work. And then they're like, hey, how do you know the things for when you weren't there? And they just start inventing shit.
Yeah.
And the cops don't even believe the story.
No.
Like,
They
why?
showed him succumbing to the voice in his head. With flashing lights, and they don't show him putting on the mask or wearing the same nameless red and black hockey jersey. That, like,
He's not even wearing the
I
same
guess
clothes.
that's backstory, like.
Is
I
it
don't.
though?
Well, it's
being played.
backstory for the killer, I think.
Is it though?
No, it's not. But the evidence of
Only
the goatee sticking out of the mask, I think it's Tim.
it's clearly okay.
It's
So
clearly Tim.
it's clearly Tim, because we see Tim in a room with the mask, and he's looking for, trying to find where his voice is. He follows the voice to the case, the glass case that has the mask. You do a zoom in on the mask, and then we cut scene to Alex, or what? Probably, I think Alex and Jaina at that point. And I think that's the scene where Jaina decides she's going to leave to go play with her boy toy. But it's the only person it can be is Tim. We get that, but we
Mhm.
don't show a reveal of Tim. And again, if Tim's just a regular, degular dude, how the
How the
fuck does
fuck
he
does he
teleport?
teleport?
And seriously, if you're gonna have a magical mask that turns you into a killer and gives you a special power, that's
Lean
it.
into it. Lean
That's the
into it.
only. That's the only power you got. That's the superpower. Teleportation is so much cooler. You can do so much more with teleporting in a horror movie. This is have somebody in a small space. Be here, stab, blink. Be here, stab. Be here, stab. Be here, stab. Just keep blinking in and out of your space and kill them from every direction, and then just have them fall in the middle. One epic kill scene. I'm gonna make note of that. That actually sounds pretty cool. And I might use that because I just thought of it. It's fine. And that would be that would be the kill scene that we would be talking about. Because you wouldn't be able to see it coming, but you know it's coming, and the person just falls out. And it's just like, I give you at least kudos for that. I can't even give you like a kudos bar. Remember
No.
those? Like the granola
Yeah.
bars from the
Yeah.
1990s? I can't
Yeah.
even give you one of those out of my lunchbox because the movie was so bad.
So 0 for the theme.
None. Yeah.
None. None. So let's see. Production 0. Writing 0. Characterization 0. Theme 0. 0 stars.
Terrible movie.
Terrible
Bad
movie.
movie. And again, there are spaces. Let me be very clear on this. Some people would say that the world's being way too harsh on this. We're not. There's a space for bad horror. I have actually gone down a rabbit hole of watching bad horror, where the special effects are bad, the acting, the lines and dialogue are terrible. It's bad horror exists. In Velocipaster, the dinosaurs have a fight using the same inflatable suits that my good friend Ashley wears to festivals. It's a suit you can literally buy offline, either Amazon or Walmart, and that's the suits they use. But don't get me wrong, it's a bad movie. It's Velocipaster.
It's the name alone is hilarious.
Right. At least you know that these people didn't take the movie that serious. This pastor turns into a dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that movie's good. It's not going to be Citizen Kane. It's not going to be a Scream level, Halloween level movie. It's not. It's not going to be a classic like The Menu. None of these movies are. It's a pastor turns into a dinosaur. Llamageddon is alien llamas crash land on Earth and ruin a party.
Plotting this in 10 seconds, yeah.
Lava-Lantula.
Yeah.
Lava-Lantula. All of these movies can be found on Prime. Lava-Lantula is about these tarantula-like arachnids that come up through the ground in Los Angeles through the Brea tar pits or some shit. And they come up from the earth and they start destroying shit. These are not made to be excellent movies. They are Sharknado level movies.
Yes.
There's a place in horror for Sharknado and movies of the sort. There are places for Lava-Lantula and Lava-Lantula 2. There is a sequel. And Velocipaster and Llamageddon. All of these movies have a point. They have a place. And they are to entertain you. Someone had the money to make a dumbass movie, so they did. And they leaned into the dumbass moviness of their dumbass movie. This movie
did not lean into it.
It didn't. You could have done so much more in the dialogue to be funny. You could have done so much more outlandish things with the character. There's not even a boat. This could have been happening on a boat or near a boat on a beach.
For $800,000? Yeah, it could have happened on a boat.
On a beach. Something that could include the steamboat from the mask could have shown up on a steamboat from a guy named Willie. And I would have been like, haha, that's how they threw it in there. Anything. Lean into the comedy. Lean into the goofiness. Lean into the corniness of it all. If you're going to make a dumbass movie, lean into dumbass movies. Just drive in, park a car there, and you're good.
Yeah.
They did not.
So that wraps up this movie review. We're about 20 minutes over, but you guys stuck with us, and we admire you for that. I'm impressed.
For the record, this review is as long as the movie.
Yeah, 80 minutes.
If you've got 80 minutes to waste it with Sako in the mood.
Waste it with us.
Don't waste it with Mousetrap. Spend your 80 minutes listen to us dog the movie instead of spending 80 minutes actually having to watch it. We're far more entertaining.
Yes, we are.
And we're prettier. But she is. I'm okay.
So yeah. If you like this thing, drop a like. If you agree with us, or maybe you don't agree with us, tell us.
I dare you.
I dare you to disagree with us.
I dare you. I will I will. I don't know what I'll do, but whatever. No, please tell me that you get hearing how we critique the movies. Give it a star. Dare you to give you. I dare you to watch this movie and give this movie a legit star. Explain it. Hell, we might just email you and give you the opportunity to share your piece on on the show. I don't know. We'll make a decision when it happens. I
Sure.
dare you to give it a star.
I
I dare.
dare you. Okay. Yeah. And we'll catch you guys, on the dark side.